YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to Pokémon Draft. My name is JD, and today we're doing a very fun video. Over the last 5 weeks, we've been playing through all the Grass-type Pokemon in Generation 1 to figure out who the best Grass-type Pokemon is in Generation 1 Pokemon Blue. We're going to use the results from that and do a ranking video from worst to best. But before I do that, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment down below. All those things help out the algorithm. Liking and commenting gets it out to other people, and subscribing shows me and YouTube that you want to come back and watch my videos. You'll get a notification every time I post twice a week. I'm going to be getting into Generation 3 content here probably within the next 6 months. I got Gen 1 content, we're ranking all the types. Gen 2, I'm playing through an order of the Pokédex. A lot of exciting stuff, but without further ado, let's dive into the worst Pokemon in this challenge, which is Tangela. Tangela comes in with a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11 seconds, 3 resets, and beat the game at level 66. Is this a bad Pokemon? I don't think so, and I'll explain why here in a couple minutes. The second playthrough we beat the game at 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 20 seconds, 0 resets, and we beat the game level 66. Now, it says 0 resets, but we actually took some blackouts. We did a lot of blackout training with this Pokemon in the early game. Doing so saved us a lot of time, and it got us through Brock at a much faster time. Probably saved about a good 5 minutes by doing that, and then we were able to just gain time from then on out. Here's the problem with this Pokemon. It has 2 main problems. The first problem it has is in the early game, it only has Constrict and Bind, and those are physical damaging moves. And as you can see by our stats that are displayed, our attack stat is 145 in the first playthrough, 147 in the second playthrough, and our special is 210 in the first playthrough and 213. So our special is way higher, and we have no moves that can utilize our special stat. We don't get that until Absorb at level 28 or 29, and then after we get out of Rock Tunnel, we can get Mega Drain, so on and so forth. This is a special attacking Pokemon that gets almost no special moves. That's its first problem, and in the early game it really rears its ugly head. Even when we get Body Slam, Body Slam is a big improvement over Bind and Constrict. The problem with that, though, is it goes off our weaker attacking stat and not our special. The other problem with this Pokemon is this is a Pokemon that suffers from some Gen 1 quirk where they skewed the moves of this Pokemon to later in the game. You don't get Absorb until level 28 or 29. Why is that? Because this Pokemon isn't to be got until around the Safari Zone, which means you're not getting this Pokemon until like around level 25 or something. So all of its moves are skewed to when you get it and progress on, not from when you can start the game with it. Because they didn't know back in the 90s there was a big culture of people playing Pokemon online and trying to rank these Pokemon, so they didn't skew the moves. However, in Gen 2 they did. In Gen 2 this Pokemon starts with a much better move pool. It even has an egg move. And we did a what-if scenario. I recommend you go check it out if you're interested in that, where we took the Generation 2 move pool and moved it back to Gen 1 to see how much better it could do. And this Pokemon flies through the game. Grass type is extremely good in Generation 1. Extremely good. And with a better move pool, this Pokemon blitzes through the game. It does not have the roadblocks that it had before. I'm pretty sure we started the game with Mega Drain or Absorb, which either one's fine. And we also had the move Psybeam because it was an egg move. And this Pokemon just blitzed through the game. So do I think this Pokemon is bad? No, I think it's just a casualty of a Gen 1 mechanic where they skewed moves till when you would catch this Pokemon, when you get this Pokemon in the game. The next Pokemon I want to talk about kind of has the same problem, which is Executor. Executor is actually a very, very good Pokemon. In Generation 2, this Pokemon got a fantastic move pool. I did a what-if for it as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's look at the results. 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 28 seconds. 1 reset. Beat the game at level 60. And in the second playthrough, we beat the game in 59 minutes and 6 seconds, shaving off another 9 minutes as well, 1 reset, and beat the game at level 59. This Pokemon has the same exact problem that Tangela has. Tangela isn't to be caught till later in the game. Execute isn't to be caught until the Safari Zone, so all of its moves are skewed towards later in the game. Even if you have Execute, you don't get like Reflect or anything until, or Leech Seed or something. It's one of those 2 moves. You don't get that until around like level 20, 28, 29. With this Pokemon, the only level up move we get anyway is Stomp because it's a Stone evolution. However, this Pokemon actually is a very good Pokemon. It's just not very good in Generation 1 because of that mechanic. We did a what-if scenario with this Pokemon. We took its Generation 2 moveset, moved it back to Gen 1, see how much better it did. In Gen 2, it starts with Confusion. It also gets Stomp at level 19. And we also have a egg move in Mega Drain. This Pokemon absolutely obliterates the game. The Pokemon that wins this challenge, in its first what-if scenario, not even optimized, just throw the moves on and play and see what happens. We were right behind the Pokemon that won this challenge with its time. It was very fast. Do I think this Pokemon is a bad Pokemon? No, it's bad for Gen 1 just because of where the moves are. Like I said, Grass type and Psychic type are probably 2 of the better types in this game. And when you give these Pokemon legitimate move pools, they obliterate the game. But in this circumstance, we had to use Barrage and Hypnosis for a majority of the game. It does slow down this Pokemon. It took forever, which is why we just barely got this under an hour. That was my goal. I just want to get under an hour with this Pokemon. But we did that, and we did that in spades because this Pokemon, once you get to a certain point, once you get Stomp, You really, this Pokemon grows and starts doing very well. And then once you get out of Celadon City, you can get Psychic and Mega Drain almost immediately. We also changed up a strategy in the what if scenario. Help me with this strategy. At one point in the game, you want to switch up. So if you look at the move pool in the first playthrough, we have Psychic, Mega Drain, Hyper Beam, and Hypnosis. If you look at the move pool in the second one, we don't have Mega Drain. We needed to get rid of Mega Drain to beat Blaine. In the first playthrough, we were badge boosting on Blaine using Agility off the Growlithe. But that doesn't boost our special stat. Really, the only point in that is really to get faster, but it doesn't help in the battle any other way. Psychic is not going to be super effective because a lot of Fire-type Pokemon have pretty good special, so that wasn't helpful. And what we needed to do is switch to a good physical damaging move. Now, experimenting with that a little bit in the what-if scenario. However, in the second playthrough, I used Double Edge and was able to sweep that team. Because whenever you're boosting your speed, you're also boosting your attack. And you can't boost your special till you beat Blaines. That's why keeping special moves wasn't worth it. It also helped with other problems. When we face Sabrina or Alakazam, it will help us knock him out because Alakazam has a great special, and Mega Drain and Psychic do nothing to Alakazam. And then in Elite Four, same thing with our rivals Alakazam. A lot of things were improved by just having a slightly better strategy from a certain point in the game, and that's why we were able to shave off 9 minutes. The early game was faster because I knew I did it at a lower level. In the first playthrough, I beat Brock, I think, at level 15. Where I was able to beat Brock at level 13 in this playthrough. And then we were able to speed up some time by making those battles against Pokemon that have high special, where we can't knock them out easy. We made them a lot easier by using a physical move like Double Edge, and eventually we used Hyper Beam as well. The next Pokemon I want to talk about in this challenge is a Pokemon that came in third place, which is actually the starter Pokemon for this game, Venusaur. Venusaur is a very good Pokemon. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. All the starters in this game are actually pretty solid, and the game doesn't really hold any of them back, in my opinion. We beat the game 46 minutes and 49 seconds with 3 resets at level 66 in the first playthrough. In the second playthrough, we beat the game 43 minutes and 9 seconds, 0 resets at level 65. This Pokemon probably has the best stat distribution of all the grass types. It has very good speed. Speed is not a hindrance for this Pokemon. It's good physical attack, has good special, has good HP, and has good defense. This is a very well-balanced Pokemon. The best grass type balance. The problem with this Pokemon is its move pool. Its level up move pool, its starting move pool is what holds this Pokemon back. Tackle, Growl, Leech Seed, and Vine Whip. Let's start with Vine Whip. Vine Whip, to me, is the worst grass move in this game. I would rather have Absorb. At least Absorb replenishes your health and has 20 power points. This move is only 10 power points. Vine Whip really is not effective. To be honest, any grass move in the early game is not very effective because you're facing a lot of bug Pokemon, you're facing a lot of flying Pokemon, there's even a lot of poison Pokemon you're going to face. Vine Whip is really the worst of the worst when it comes to that. Once in a while, you'll come across like a Rattata you can one-shot on someone's team. But really, this move has no utility other than beating Brock and Misty. And if you come across a hiker in Mount Moon, you can get some pretty easy experience there by using Vine Whip. Using Vine Whip on anything else is not that useful. And so that relegates you to using Tackle and Leech Seed. Leech Seed's worthless. It takes so long to use Leech Seed. It's not worth using it. If you're in a speed run, it takes so much time to utilize it. And then Tackle is pretty much the move you're relegated using all the time. And it's not a good move. We have decent physical attack stats, so that's not bad. But it's only a 35 base power move. It isn't even 100% accurate, and you can miss. And you compare that to the two Pokemon that won this, that are 1 and 2 in this challenge. When you compare this to the other two Pokemon in this challenge that ended up being 1 and 2, this move pool is garbage compared to theirs. They both start with Acid, so Victreebel and Vileplume both start with Acid. They both start with Sleep Powder as well, and they both have much better grass move. They both have Razor Leaf or Petal Dance. All three of those factors mean that this Pokemon starts off slower and is really just behind the 8 ball from the get-go. Does it still finish very strong? It does. Is it a very powerful Pokemon? Is it a very good Pokemon? I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. However, there's a reason why it came in third, and it's that starting move pool. It does not get Sleep Powder till level 55. Here's why that's a problem. One of the first battles in the game, in my playthroughs, you have to face that rival on the way to Victory Road after you talk to Professor Oak. He has a Pidgey and a Charmander. Now, those aren't really scary, but the problem is Pidgey can't sand attack you, whereas with Vileplume and Victreebel, they can just walk into that battle, put the Pidgey to sleep, and then knock it out gradually with Acid. Very quick battle, very easy battle, progress you through the game. When you go into the bug forest, Acid on the bugs. It's pretty effective against most of the bugs. And then when you get to, obviously when you get to Brock, I mean, any grassman is going to one-shot Brock's Pokemon, and that does happen. However, it didn't one-shot on the Million Light Years trainer's Pokemon because Vine Whip isn't that powerful. Whereas with Razor Leaf and Petal Dance, those are one-shots. So that's a big setback for this Pokemon in the early game, and it really is just clawing back and trying to game time the rest of it, and you just don't have good moves for the in-between battle. Brock and Misty are very easy with this Pokemon. Any grass-type Pokemon that has a grass move, those two are very easy. The problem is the in-between battles, and you don't have a way to handle the in-between battles quickly and efficiently like you do with the next two Pokemon. The next Pokemon I'm going to talk about is Pokemon came in second. I actually thought this Pokemon came in third, but Venusaur didn't do as well as it, so it came in second, and that is Vileplume. Vileplume came in with a really good time in the first playthrough and a great time in the second playthrough. 43 minutes and 4 seconds, 1 reset. We beat the game level 67 in the first playthrough. In the second playthrough, 39 minutes and 21 seconds. It's a sub 40 run. The second sub 40 run, or I'm sorry, the third sub 40 run I ever got in this playthrough. 2 resets, and those 2 resets probably cost us maybe another minute, so this could have been on par with Victreebel. Victreebel did beat this, you'll see that here in a second. We beat the game level 65, so 2 levels lower than we did in the first playthrough. This Pokemon is phenomenal. It has Sleep Powder, it has Acid in the early game, and it has Petal Dance. Now, Petal Dance, one downside is if you don't knock out all the opposition's Pokemon, you can get confused. However, having a Stab Acid move is a good counter for all the stuff in the early game that's resisted to grass moves. You can also put things to sleep, like I said in our second rival battle, putting the Pidgey to sleep, and in the third battle, the Pidgeotto, putting him to sleep is a huge advantage because you can negate the sand attack problem that you could have with that Pokemon. And then it progresses pretty well through the game. Unlike Victreebel, Victreebel does get Wrap to replace Stun Spore. This Pokemon does not get a good move to replace Stun Spore until Body Slam. However, not a hindrance. This Pokemon is very powerful. It's very good. It does get probably the strongest Grass-type Pokemon that's usable in a playthrough. I know Solar Beam is more powerful. It's not as good as Petal Dance. It takes 2 turns to set up, and it's just not very good. Whereas Petal Dance, you click once, and if the opposition has like 2 Pokemon, you're going to obliterate those 2 Pokemon. I would say the biggest flaw with this Pokemon is its speed. Its speed was a hindrance. That's why we got 2 resets in the second playthrough. I'm pretty sure we got those resets right before the Elite Four. Right before we went into the Elite Four, we lost to our rival twice because we kept getting outspeed by the Charizard, and he kept one-shotting us because we kept leveling up in battle. But eventually we did get the win, and we did progress, and we beat the game in a sub 41. There's only one other Pokemon prior to this Pokemon playing where we beat the game under 40 minutes, and that was Zapdos. This Pokemon, which most people wouldn't consider this one of the best Pokemon in the game, this Pokemon was able to beat the game on par with a legendary Pokemon like Zapdos, outdoing a Pokemon like Articuno. So I'm very happy about the results of this playthrough. Could have been faster, yes, because at 39 minutes and 21 seconds, we had 2 resets, and those 2 resets weren't like, oh, we got paralyzed on the first Pokemon, which reset takes about 5 seconds. These were like the last Pokemon knocked us out, and we probably wasted about a good 20-30 seconds on each one of those. So this could have been even faster. This Pokemon will definitely be on my list of a third playthrough to potentially see if it can do even better than 39 minutes and 21 seconds. The final Pokemon we need to talk about is the champion of the Grass-type challenge, which is Victreebel. Victreebel comes in with a really good time. In its first playthrough, it was like one of the best times I've ever done, but in the second playthrough, it is the best time I've ever done in this game. I think maybe Mewtwo was faster, and Mewtwo played by some different rules in this. However, 42 minutes and 9 seconds was the first playthrough, 3 resets. We beat the game at level 66. In the second playthrough, we beat the game at 38 minutes and 27 seconds, no resets, and we did it a level lower at level 65. This Pokemon is phenomenal. It starts off with a really good early game moveset. It's the best early game moveset for grass types in my opinion. You have Sleep Powder, you have Stun Spore. Stun Spore's garbage, but at level 13 you learn Wrap, so you can get rid of Stun Spore, and then eventually you will get Body Slam to replace Wrap. At one point in the game, you're going to have Sleep Powder, Body Slam, Acid, and Razor Leaf. And Razor Leaf crits a lot. It's really good in the early game. Acid's great in the early game because it hits bugs and birds for pretty good damage, and it's just a hugely powerful Pokemon. Can I get this done faster? Probably. I've watched Scott's Thoughts play with this Pokemon. Now, he's usually playing Pokemon Yellow, and Pokemon Yellow is just a little bit different than Pokemon Blue. However, he's got this thing around, like, I think 32 minutes or something like that, and there's definitely room for improvement. This is definitely a Pokemon I will be putting on the list to have a third playthrough whenever all the types are done, and we're getting our, like, top 10 or 15 Pokemon. We're going to see how well we can optimize them, but this Pokemon is phenomenal. It progresses so well in the game, and it has no real areas of the game where it starts hitting a wall, and this Pokemon just progresses and does so well in Generation 1. In Generation 2, it's a different discussion. It actually gets kind of nerfed in Generation 2. It's not as good. However, in Gen 1, it is one of the fastest Pokemon, if not definitely the fastest grass type. I wouldn't count out Vileplume of putting up a time better than 38 minutes and 27 seconds, but also I wouldn't put it past Victreebel putting up a time around like 35 minutes in the next playthrough. Do I think I can shave off 3 minutes? Sure. I think there's definitely a possibility for that. Be a little more efficient with my menuing, using my stuff like ethers, things like that. I want to take a minute and quickly showcase the tier list before and after the second round of playthroughs. In the first round, we resulted in Victreebel and Vileplume being in the S tier, Venusaur hanging out with the electric types in the A tier. All the way down at the E tier, we have Executor, and in the F tier, we have Tangela. After the second round of playthroughs, here's the results that we have now. We have Victreebel and Vileplume being ranked 1 and 2 in the SS tier. Venusaur moves into the S tier between Lapras and Gengar. Never thought in my life Gengar would actually be outpaced and beaten by Venusaur, but it is what it is. All these Pokemon in the S tier are going to get a third playthrough eventually, probably near the end of this whole challenge, this whole series I'm doing. And it looks like Lapras is trying to bite the leaf off of Venusaur. I didn't notice that till right now. That's pretty funny. Then we go down to the C tier. Executor is in the C tier because it got a sub 60 run between Bureau and Scyther. And then we have Tangela got out of the F tier, leaving Hitmonchan by himself again in between Beedrill and Jinx. Now, I need to play through with Jinx again. I didn't play through the second time in the Ice Challenge. Some other things I want to talk about is Parasect. So Parasect is down there in the sub 65 run because it couldn't get under an hour. I think I can get this under an hour now. Now that I've seen both playthroughs and even did a what if scenario, I think I can get this Pokemon under an hour. I'm not going to do that anytime soon. It's not a Pokemon I'm going to prioritize. It's not going to be nowhere near the top of this list. It might just be done for fun if I have like a couple extra days and I'm caught up on my content. This tier list is really coming together, and we're about to dive into the next type, which is going to be ground type. If you didn't see my video on Wednesday, we did a prediction for the ground types. We have 5 Pokemon participate: Nidoking, Nidoqueen, Marowak, Dugtrio, and Sandslash. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, there's other ground Pokemon, why aren't they in this? The other 3 ground Pokemon are Rhydon, Onix, and Golem. Those 3 Pokemon are also rock type. I do not want to have a type where I have like 10 or 12 Pokemon until I have to. For example, normal type, nothing pairs with normal except for flying, but we already took care of all the flying types. And that being said, there's still like 11 normal Pokemon we have to play through as. If we play through a Ditto, I think it's 12, but we're not going to do Ditto in this challenge. The other types this leaves the rock type to be about 6 Pokemon. You got Onix, Rhydon, and Golem. And then you have Amistar and Amistar and Kabutops. Then you also have Aerodactyl as a flying rock type. So there's 6 Pokemon on that challenge, and I didn't want to combine these two and have 8 and only 3 in the rock type, so I'm balancing it out. Whenever I do a recap, I will be highlighting every Pokemon that is poison, every Pokemon, but I'm just doing it for this challenge to keep them short, burst, and kind of together. And then we also have the psychic types still. We have the water types, we have the poison types. There's not a lot of types left, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. I recommend you go check out my posts. I do have a survey about what type I should do next. Go ahead and fill it in down there. I think normal type will be the last type because it is the most abundant type for this challenge. Water type, we're able to eliminate some Pokemon because we've already done a couple. For example, there are water ice Pokemon we've already done. We've already done fighting water with Poliwrath, so that one's done. We are going to do Poliwhirl standalone to see how good it can do because it's such a good Pokemon. And we have a couple other water types that are going to be paired with poison type or psychic type. I haven't really decided on those, but that's what we got coming up next on the channel. The video that will come out next, which is coming out on Wednesday, is a Generation 2 playthrough with Dunsparce. Dunsparce, not a great Pokemon, but also doesn't have a lot of glaring weaknesses. So I'm really excited about that playthrough. And then next Friday, we're going to be playing through with Nidoqueen. I have not played through with Nidoking for probably 3 years. I think it was one of the first videos I did on this channel when I first started. Very clunky. I don't recommend you go. I mean, if you want to go watch it, go ahead. But the audio is not great. The overlay is not good at all. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of my early videos didn't have the greatest quality because I was just kind of figuring it out. And I just kind of turn the camera on and talk about Pokemon and play the game. That's really what it was. And now everything's a little bit more organized. It's a little more visually better. And I hope the audio is significantly better than it was back then as well. I didn't have what I have now. I didn't know how to edit sound. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I do it better now. I don't do it great, but I do it better now than what it was back then. Almost 3 years ago is when the last time I played with Nidoking or Nidoqueen. So I'm really excited to see how these Pokemon can do when I can see the stats. And even in those playthroughs, like at the time, an hour and 15-minute run or an hour and 9-minute run, I think is what Nidoking got. It was that's a very good run for my old playthroughs. Now I know more now, so it's going to be nowhere near an hour and 9 minutes. It's probably going to be closer to like probably 40 to 45 minutes. That's my educated guess. And same with Nidoqueen. And we're going to do so much better. And I'm so excited about this Pokemon. It's a really good Pokemon. I've always wanted to circle back and do it. I just never did, and now I'll get the opportunity. That's what's coming up. Wednesday, Dunsparce. Next Friday, Nidoking. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win the ground type challenge? What type do you think I should do next? And how do you think Dunsparce is going to do? Let me know. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.